Hello, welcome back. Right, back to the Crash magazines. Did one yesterday, issue 55. Here you can see I have issue 30 from July 1986. Jack the Nipper cover. What also is featured in here are the game's split personalities and Ghosts and Goblins. More previews than the Clairvoyant. Again, an absolutely fantastic cover. And again, these come to me courtesy of Jeff Neal. Sent them to me a while back. Now, you might hear traffic going past. I do apologise for that. I've got both the windows wide open up here in the bedroom. It is absolutely roasting. Touch of the old Betty Swallocks developing, I'm afraid. Too much information, Baz, too much information. So, going straight in, right, we have adverts for Bombjack and Paperboy from Elite. Now, I loved both those conversions on the Spectrum. Just a little hint, a preview. I'm going to be doing, hopefully, at some point over the weekend, multi-system reviews of both games. Bombjack for the Amstrad, Spectrum and Commodore, and Paperboy for the Spectrum, Amstrad, Commodore and BBC Micro. So keep an eye out for those. By all means, if I haven't done them within the next couple of weeks, please give me a nudge to remind me that, say something like, Oi Baz, you said you were going to do those videos, because I do forget stuff. Adverts for Imagine Games, Yeah Kung Fu, Mikey, Movie and Ping Pong. Oh, and Green Beret. All of them really, really good games. Movie, I really like it. Technically think it's fantastic, but I couldn't make head nor tail of it. I could never work the game out. I watched a YouTube playthrough the other week, and the person who did it made it look easy. I thought, bloody hell. Advert for Batman, the isometric Batman game from Ocean by John Rittman, one of three excuse me, Batman games released by Ocean, the other being the Cape Crusader and Batman the movie. Now, again, I forgot to say at the top, any of these games poke your memory gland, please, please, please jump in with your memories, etc. Pyrrha Curse from Hewson Consultants. That was an interesting game. I actually have that downstairs, and I did play it a little bit back in the day. Slightly unusual in that you had control of more than one character. You could control 4 characters, including the dog down there. Now, the only other games that I can think of isometrically where you played more than one character were Where Time Stood Still. I think you could. I can't say that for definite because I don't think I've actually ever played Where Time Stood Still. And Head Over Heels, of course, where you had to use each character's special abilities to solve certain puzzles, and you could marry them together. Now, if anyone knows any more, please share out. What's this here then? A review of one of the old ZX Microfares. Now, I went to one of them in about 1985. My dad took me to the Royal Horticultural Hall around the back of Victoria train station. That's where I bought Jet Set Willy 2. And he wasn't going to buy me that. I had to moan like a drain to get that. He thought that just taking me to the show was enough. Biggles, the conversion of the game of the film that was released in 1986, released by Microsoft. The game wasn't particularly good. Now, I used to play football in a team called Old Highburyans for people who used to go to Highbury Grove School. And one of the people in that old boys team was an old boy called John Huff, and he actually directed Biggles the movie, and also directed one of the Howling films and a couple of other bits and pieces. I don't think I've ever seen the film. Is it any good? Because the game of it, mind you, it gets 63%, but I played it once or twice and I thought it was very uninspiring. New Generation bring us Cliffhanger. Now, I, again, don't know that game at all, but that's got decently reviewed. World Cup Carnival, oh dear, oh dear. I do own World Cup Carnival in one of its incarnations, the Amstrad CPC version that Graham Mason kindly picked up for me a few months back from one of the events up north. Universally, I think even 26% is too high, too generous. Graphic Adventure Creator, I have that. I got that for my 14th birthday with the best intentions of writing games. Couldn't understand anything about it and never loaded it up after the first day, basically. And here we go, the star of the cover, Jack the Nipper. Gremlin graphics. I had this and I quite enjoyed it. I couldn't get very far in it. That's a usual story for Baz and playing games. And it was followed up by Jack the Nipper in Coconut Capers. Don't know that game at all, so please, 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 how does Jack the Nipper fare in relation to its sequel? Which one's the better of the two games? As you can see, I mean, it's got a really, really lovely graphical style. Excuse the sort of light glare there. There we go, great graphical style, so cartoony. Splitting Images, when it was called Splitting Images. Now, there was a row, wasn't there? They were forced to drop the Splitting Images title and rename it Split Personalities. I'm sure there must be some copies about somewhere still with the Splitting Images artwork. But most people will know it as Split Personalities. And it's one of those block slider games with some arcadey sort of elements to it. And it's really, really, really good fun. And I did a video of that about a year ago, I think. Snodgets from Sparklers. Very distinct graphical style there. I've played the game in one of the World of Spectrum Random 5 videos that I used to do, and I must get back to them at some point as well. And I couldn't work out what to do on it. But it gets a decent score off of Crash there. And I've just taken my glasses off. I can't actually see what score they gave it there. Ah, come on, Baz. 77%. Adverts for Cyberrun and Pentagram. Pentagram is one of the Saberman games. Cyberrun is horrid. I don't like that game at all. It's far too difficult. And it got a Crash Smash as well. Ninja Master I have covered. It's a really bad game. But it's got some amusing sort of speech, etc. But at least it has a token amount of playability. You can see here they've given it 64%. But its follow-up game from Tron Software called Oriental Hero is probably one of the worst games on the spectrum. If you don't believe me, check it out yourself. Rock and Wrestle, I vaguely remember this one. That doesn't fare well at all, 48%. The Master from Antarctic. Oh, that gets slagged off a bit. Kidnap from Sparklers. What do we get for that? 49%. Solomore from Atlantis again. 38%. And what do we have adverts for here? Adverts for Biggles the Game, Dynamat Dan 2, Action Reflex, and Strike Force Harrier. All Mirrorsoft games. Ghosts and Goblins. Is there a trickier game? Now, it is a fantastic conversion. I'll give you that. It really is good. But I still own the copy that I have from back in the day, and I've only ever got to the second level about half a dozen times. It's so difficult. But I believe its follow-up, Ghouls and Ghosts, which I don't really know apart from a version that I had on the Game Boy Advance years ago, is supposed to be like infinitely harder than this game. But it's really, really an achievement, and it shows that, you know, people were getting more and more confident in programming skills. The fact that despite only having 48k to play with, you could bash out some really, really decent conversions of far more powerful arcade games. There you see it gets 95%. The Planets, I had that. Really, really bizarre. It's not a game as such, really. 85%. Well, it is a game, but it's more... I could only ever get to Earth. I kept on crashing and running out of fuel and stuff like that. Molecule Man is one of those games that recently popped up in every kind of bundle that I picked up and ordered. So I've got about 4 copies of it, but still haven't played it. And it gets a respectable 85%. It's from Mastertronic, 199. So starting to bash out some really, really good quality budget titles by this time. Equinox from Raphael Checo with help from those bods. Not sure. Yes, I have played it because I did a ZX Spectrum Legends video about Mr. Checo. And that's the only time I've played it. 87%. Lloyd Mangram. What have they got there? Someone advertising a fireplace. Right, okay. Yeah, some of the letters, etc. Some of them are quite entertaining. Moans and groans and whines and whinges and stuff. And others are just sort of like silly. Computer repair places. Hey, I am in bed. Come on, get your water pistols out and go. I am on about gunfight. What a game. Now that you reviewed Cyber Run, can I have another tenner for a game? When do I get for washing your clothes, feeding your help? Why do games cost so much? Well, here I am with the rotten cold saving up for Cyber Run. Save your money. 30 years too late, basically. But hey-ho, Crash Course, educational software. No, we're not interested in that. Toad Runner. I don't remember this one at all. From Areola Soft. Quite a... yeah, ooh, blimey. It's like me after a night on the stuff. There's our top 10 for July 1986. Some really, really good games in there. Starquake. Become a subscriber. Frontline strategy games. I don't think I've ever played a strategy game. I can't think that far enough ahead. You know, 2 steps ahead for me is enough. Putting me socks on and then going and turning the light on and stuff. You know, I even have to think about that for a long time before I put it into action. Bounces. Again, not one I'm familiar with. Some playing tips. Map for movie. Now, some of these maps, people put some fantastic effort into. Radio Control Car. Kirel from Addictive Software, another thingammy isometric game which was starting to become increasingly common. Again, shout up if you know that one. Adventure games. The price of... Well, Advert for Heavy on the Magic, which is a really, really good game from Gargoyle. Really, really good style. And The Price of Magic from Level 9 gets a Crash Smash. Now, I know nothing about adventure games beyond The Hobbit and the Boggit and Board of the Rings and stuff, because you could swear in those ones and it would swear back at you. But yeah, your views on adventure games, please. Did you like them? Did you loathe them? Etc. Directories. Ace from Cascade. Now, Cascade are always, you know... always remembered for the Cassette 50 compilation thing for all the major machines at the time. And you know, sometimes you kind of forget that they did actually do other games, and I believe Ace was quite good. They also did 19 Part 1, didn't they? Which I believe was quite good as well. Signpost, software by mail, grabbing the tigress by the tail. This is an in-depth on Denton Designs, which will be interesting to read. I might have a read of that later. Is that Denton Designs? No, it's not. It's Tigress. Sorry, I've never ever heard of them. They sold 1 million, which gave you some very good games there. Sabre Wolf, Nightlaw, Bruce Lee, Matchpoint and Matchday, the original Matchday. Tech stuff not going anywhere near that. I don't know. Advert for Jack the Nipper. I remember this advert, this kind of comic strip type thing. It was quite different from before. Advert for Biggles. Sorry, competition for Biggles. It's a spot the difference kind of thing. And you could get T-shirts and games and a Biggles goodie bag. Now, all these high score things that are often open to suggestions of embellishment. Let's have a look. I wonder how many of these are actually honest scores. You know, because people would literally just send in stuff in. There was no way of verifying stuff back then, was there? Mapping Mantronics, grown at home. Homegrown software. Jetman comic. Mini Mangram. Some great Oliver Frey covers there. Look, you know, even today those look absolutely astounding. And what do we get previews of? We get previews of the Ice Temple. We get previews of that one. And we get a preview of Pyrrha Curse from Houghton. Oh, it's just over there, isn't it? Ah, excuse me. Rubbed my eye and I've made it sore. And I keep trying to rub it again. Mandragora. Oh, blimey, look at the state of that. Hijack. Don't know. Heartland. Great graphics, but a bit of a strange control system. Bobby Bearing, brilliant. Advert for Cauldron 2, one of the most difficult games I've ever played. Oh, and Street Hawk, the infamous Street Hawk. Yes, that had a bit of a strange history, didn't it? Right, okay, that is that issue of Crash Magazine done. Thank you ever so much for getting this far. If you like the video, please let me know. If you wish to subscribe, please do so. But if you do subscribe, please take the time to join in with the conversation, because that is what it's all about. Thank you ever so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye.